Claire and this is my vlog, Loves Red Sews. So welcome back if you are an existing subscriber and welcome if you are new. So today is my weekly I say sewing catch up, but actually this vlog today is a little bit different. So as it is the end of January, well, we're literally just into the start of February, I thought I would do a roundup of what I made in 2024. So I did put a little poll on my community tab, just asking if that is something that people would be interested in, and I actually got, I think it was around about 80% said yes, that would be something they'd be interested in, so that is why I'm bringing that to you today. So I know we're kind of already a month into the new year. It has taken me a little while to get the information together, and I'm hoping that it won't be too long of a vlog, but what my plan is basically is just to run through what I made sort of every month. So I'll tell you the garments, I will pop a picture in of each of the garments on me, and then at the end I will come back to you with a just a couple of like pie chart type graphs that I've put together. One of them shows all the fabrics that I used throughout 2024, and then the other graph I've sort of produced just basically shows the split of garments, so how many of each type of garment that I've made. So what I did, I kind of kept it fairly simple in that so the sort of stats, are things like you know, a top, a dress, trousers, PJs, shorts, that kind of stuff. So I've kind of kept it fairly simple in those terms, and then same with the fabrics. So I've kind of done jersey, so I haven't split it out between viscose jersey, cotton jersey, all of that kind of stuff. I've just categorized items, either jersey, like viscose, cotton lawn, poplin, you know, things like that. So so hopefully you will enjoy the content that I'm putting here today for you. So just to start, actually I probably should just share what I'm wearing today, because that is generally what I like to do. So I am just wearing a pair of ready-to-wear jeans today, and I have paired it with my new kind of sweater top, like little vest thing. This is a Simplicity pattern that I made recently. It's really cozy, and I've actually put it on over the top of a shirt. So this is the Olya shirt that I made quite a while ago now, and I don't know if you remember in one of my vlogs I said that the sleeves had shortened. So basically every time I wash this I think the sleeves are getting shorter, so that's kind of how short they are now. So it's almost like a 3/4 length. I did shorten these sleeves when I initially made the shirt, because the initial sleeves are too long for me, and yeah, unfortunately they are kind of shrinking a little bit, and the shirt used to come down a bit lower than this, but I mean it does hang down slightly longer at the back, but I think that is probably also shrinking slightly. So but I just decided to put that on today. I've been over to my sister's today, finally got together with all my family because it's my brother's birthday in a couple of days time, so we've all been together for that, which is really nice. So it's now just coming up to 5 o'clock, so it's a little bit later than the time that I normally vlog for you at the weekend, and hopefully the light is okay. I have got my light on in my office, so hopefully that's okay, but it is getting a little bit darker outside now. So but I think for the purpose of this vlog, hopefully that shouldn't matter too much, because I will be popping photos in rather than, I'm not actually going to pull loads of garments out and show you those. So behind me I've got 2 garments here, and the reason I've pulled those out is because this dress here was the very first item I made in 2024, and this skirt is the very last item I made in 2024. So I thought it would be fun to kind of pull both of those out and just have those kind of on show, but I didn't want to get everything out, because you'll find out why in a couple of minutes, why the reason for that is. And yeah, basically the reason for that is I discovered, after I put all of the data and everything together, I actually made 81 garments last year. So actually that is that every, oh, that, and that includes bags as well, sorry. So it's not just garments, but I made 81 items last year, so I couldn't believe it, to be honest. So I do keep a little kind of notebook, and it isn't quite up to date. I need to kind of update it, but what I tend to do is put a little patch of fabric, and then I'll make a note of what I've made. And it's just a nice little record for me to look back on. But I think in the year of lockdown, and I felt like I sewed a lot that year, because obviously, you know, there wasn't that much to do, and I can't remember exactly how many items I made, but it definitely wasn't 81. I think it was more around the maybe 60 odd mark, and I thought that was quite a lot. So I mean, to have made 81 items in a year is quite crazy, to be honest. I don't know where they all are, to be honest. I mean, I do tend to kind of try and keep my wardrobe a little bit seasonal. Some items in there that I can wear in any season, but I do tend to, so like this time of year, I've kind of packed, so in the UK it's the winter, so I've packed away a lot of my real summery sort of stuff, the stuff that I just wouldn't wear this time of year. And then sort of summer, I will pack away, or just before that, maybe sort of towards the end of spring, I will start packing away all of the real wintry stuff, and the sort of thick jumpers and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily wear through summer. So I do tend to try and keep my wardrobe semi-seasonal, so not everything is in my wardrobe, and I kind of use those vacuum bags to pack things away. So it's always quite exciting when you get them back out and remember what you've got. But yeah, anyway, going back to today's vlog before I start rambling too much. So for 2024, I made 81 garments. So I do have my laptop in front of me because I've got a little spreadsheet with everything in, but starting off with January, the first item that I made was this dress here, which is the Davenport dress. So as I'm talking about the garments, I will pop a picture in of each of the garments as well, so that you can see those popping up with me wearing them. So and then following that, so I'm just going to obviously talk about the January garments. I'm just going to run through what they are basically. I'm not going to go into loads of detail about them. So the first item, as I mentioned, was the Davenport dress. Then I made a dress which was the Simplicity Nomi 2016, and which has been a really popular dress. So I made that in the red viscose. And then I made a Parkside skirt, which you will see here. I made a pair of sapphire trousers, and then I made a toaster sweater, which is a really popular kind of sweater pattern, an everyday dress, which is the New Craft House everyday dress. And then the last thing I made in January was a Donny shirt. So as you'll see, some of these items were quite summery, and that was because last February I turned 50 and we had a holiday booked and planned, and we went off to Turkey in February. So I was already thinking about kind of summery makes, and I'd started making a few bits and pieces for my holiday. So that is why in that sort of little roundup you have a few kind of summery items. So then moving into February, I made, I'll just round up and say for January. So I made 7 items in total in January. So that was quite a lot, but not some of the sort of later months I actually made quite a bit more. So yeah, I mean, seven items in a month is quite a lot anyway, isn't it? So yeah, to be honest, this has been really good doing this, because it's kind of made me see kind of, you know, the amount of stuff that I've been making really, and I didn't actually realise how much, and it was just really good to see kind of how much I've made in each month as well. So moving on to February, I made an Adrienne blouse, which is by the Friday Pattern Company. Then I made an Anna dress, which is quite an old sort of pattern now, and that is by Hand London. And that one I actually made for my 50th birthday, for my actual birthday, and for the little sort of party gathering thing that we had here at home. I also made my Kimball bomber jacket, which is a pattern by Cashmerette, and I'm really proud of that one, and I absolutely love this jacket with the big tiger head print on the back as well. So that was a real highlight garment for me. I made a Sabina skirt. That was kind of for my holiday. I don't think I actually wore it in the end on holiday, and yeah, I don't know if that skirt was really sort of my style, to be honest. It's a free pattern, but yeah, I wasn't completely wowed by that one, I must admit. I made a Nora sweater, which is a Tilly and the Buttons sweater. And then I made a pogo nip sweater, which was for the pogo nip party that Christine from the Gemini Stitches was running. And then I made a Naya t-shirt, the first of many last year, as you will see as we go along. So for the month of February, I made again 7 garments. And then moving into March, I didn't make as many in March actually, so I made another Adrienne blouse. I made an Olya shirt, which I think that one was for the So Yellow for Endo, which you'll see here. And then I made the peppermint wide leg pants, which was my sort of first foray, I guess, into sort of trousers. And I would say that was the first pair of trousers that I made in 2024, but it wasn't, because in January I made some sapphire trousers, so so it's kind of like the second pair of trousers. But they were the only things I made in March, and I think that was because partly my holiday kind of rolled a little bit into March, sort of the start of March, and I'd probably been making so much before that for sort of my holiday and for my birthday that I probably took a little bit of a seat on that. So just the 3 garments in March. Moving into April, I made another Olya shirt because I enjoyed the first one, and it is in fact this one that I'm wearing today. So I'll pop a picture in and you'll see a better picture of it on me here. And then I made a Whitcomb top for the first time, an Anthea blouse by Anna Allen, another Whitcomb top because I enjoyed the first one so much, and then I made a pair of Thea trousers for the first time, which I had quite a lot of issues with, but I did manage to kind of get the fit right on them in the end, so you'll see a picture of those. I made a Rem blouse from Chalk and Notch, which was in a nice gingham fabric, and then I made another Naya t-shirt. So that was for April, and in the month of April I was back up to making 7 garments again. Yeah, I think it didn't really sort of go too much below that. I mean, for the next few months, the next sort of 2 or 3 months, it was probably slightly under that, but then it really kind of ramped up again towards the middle of the summer, I guess. So then moving into May, the garments I made for May was a Naya t-shirt. So again, I'll be popping pictures of these in as I'm sort of reeling these garments off. I made a pair of Emerson pants, which I had made before, but I kind of wanted to make another pair because I hadn't made them for a while, and I made these quite well. Basically the Naya tee and the Emerson pants I kind of made as a full outfit, so you'll see that photo will be probably showing the both garments, but I kind of made it as a full outfit. And then I made a fringe dress, which is a Chalk and Notch pattern, a Wilder gown top, so I used, I think, a remnant of fabric, and I made a top which would be suitable for work. And then I made a Friday Pattern Company saltwater slip, which I'd never made before, so that was my first sort of introduction to that pattern, which I really loved. And then at the end of May, I then made another Adrienne blouse, which has become quite a firm favourite pattern of mine. So for the month of May, I made 6 garments, so slightly less than the previous month, but still a decent amount of garments in 1 month. So when you think it's only generally sort of 4/5 weeks in a month, that is quite a decent amount of garments, to be honest. Moving into June, the first thing I made was a Rhea dress by Tammy Handmade, and then I then made a nail dress by Tilly and the Buttons, which was a newish pattern that had come out, which I really enjoyed making actually. And then I made a ruffle brunch set, and I think that was also for a challenge. That might have been So Fruity, that one, because it was all strawberry themed. And then I made ruffle brunch shorts. I made another Naya t-shirt. So these were kind of in double gauze, made those as pyjamas. Then I made another nail dress in a red linen, because I really wanted to recreate the version that Tilly had made. So I think I did a fairly good job of that. And then that was the last thing I made in June actually. So another 6 garments were made in June. So again, a fairly good amount of garments. Moving into July, the first thing I made was a pair of Bailey shorts, which were from Tessuti. I didn't get on that well with that pattern, to be honest. The shorts ended up really wide on me. Since then I have gotten rid of that pattern. I did have to take the shorts in quite a bit, but I think I ended up with a fairly wearable pair of shorts, luckily. Then I made my first fleur blouse from Fabric Godmother. So that was the animal print one, or the leopard print one that you'll see in the photo. Then I made a tie dress. This was the challenge that was being run by Christine from the Gemini Stitches and Sam from Sequin Girly, and it was the 3-month challenge. So July was the start of that. So the tie dress that I made was the challenge where I was given a pattern to make up, and the tie dress was that. So that is that dress. And then I made another pair of sapphire trousers because they were quite good for the summer. And I also made another tie dress. So I'd made the first tie dress that I made was actually a little bit big for me, and I donated that to my mum, and she ended up having that. And then the second one that I made was my final version, which was in the beautiful fabric from Lamazi. So in total for July, I actually made 5 garments for July. So other than sort of March, that was one of my sort of lowest months. And then moving into August, now this is one of my sort of more prolific months, I think. So the first thing I made was an Avenir jumpsuit, which I hadn't made before. So I made one of those, and then I moved on to a Harrelson bag, and that was from a kit that I had from First for Fabrics, and I used that bag quite a lot. Still using it now, so that's been really good. And then I had my crafty sewing camp that I went to, where I made a sunny jacket. So you'll obviously see pictures of that here. And then I made a couple of Naya t-shirts. So I think I made those at the crafty sewing camp as well. And I also made another 2 flare blouses. So one of them was made out of 3 shirts, so that was the second challenge, so month 2 of the sewing challenge that I was doing, and this was the kind of refashion challenge. So I made one out of 3 separate men's shirts, and then I made the red flare blouse fairly quickly after that as well. I also made my first pair of Pietra shorts, which I made in the tomato denim from Fabric Godmother. And then I made another 2 Adrienne blouses, so you can tell that's quite a popular pattern for me, and that is by Friday Pattern Company. So in August I made a total of 10 garments, and I think that was because I had the crafty sewing camp, and that is kind of like 3 days, sort of probably 2.5 days of sewing, and it's it's kind of like a full day of sewing, so I actually got quite a bit done while I was there, so I think that's why I had a few garments made there. Then moving on to September, I made another Avenir jumpsuit because I enjoyed the first one so much, so I made myself another one of those. Then I decided to make a whole load of Naya t-shirts. So I made 3, 4, 5, 6, I made 7 in total. So one of them was in double gauze, and that was to go with kind of like as another PJ top. And then the other ones were just out of, I bought some sort of a fabric bundle, plus a couple of others, fabrics, jersey fabrics that I had, and I made a whole range of them to go with different things. So that really kind of bumped up my makes for September. And then I made another Harrelson bag, and I'd basically made that one for my sister. She saw my one and she really loved it, so as a surprise I made her one for her birthday, which is in September. I made an Andy set top and skirt, and that was for the final challenge that I was doing for Christine and Sam's sort of challenge. So that was the 3rd month and final challenge set for that, so we had to make something for a Mediterranean getaway, so I made the Andy set, the top and the skirt. And then the last thing I made in September was another bag, and that was a H2O to go bag, which is basically like a water bottle carrier, and I made that one for my mum for her birthday, because she's got a dog and she does quite a lot of dog walking, and I thought it might come in handy for her dog walks. So in total, September was probably my most prolific month. I made 12 items, but obviously there was about 7 of those with the Naya t-shirt. 2 of those were gifts, birthday gifts. So so what's that, 7, 8, 9, yeah, so other than all of those, there's only 3 other sort of garments for me really. And then moving on to October, I made a pair of bob pants in an animal print viscose, which actually I really love them in the viscose because they're quite drapey. I made a LB pullover in a sort of more of a sweater knit kind of fabric, which actually I wear a fair amount for kind of work if I'm doing site visits and stuff. I find that quite good for that kind of thing. I then made another pair of bob pants. I wanted to try those in a cotton fabric. Unfortunately, I think I picked the wrong type of fabric because they felt very pyjama-y, so I've never worn those out. But you'll see in the picture they're sort of quite a bright sort of stripy fabric. Yeah, I mean they're fun. I've still got them obviously, but I haven't worn them out. And then I made my first Saturday skirt, which was in a jacquard that I had been gifted from a company called Longan Crafts. So I made that, and then I made my Avril jacket, which was from my first Fabric Godmother Dream Wardrobe box. So yeah, it was quite an exciting month, I think, October, with some of these sort of things. And then I quickly moved on to make another Saturday skirt because I wanted to make one in kind of a viscose. I really enjoyed the first one that I made, and I decided to make another one in a viscose twill, which I absolutely love. And then I surprisingly made another Naya t-shirt. So yeah, I think that's got to be my my most made pattern, I think, to be honest. I also made a fleur dress. October was when we had Sobrum, so I made a new dress to wear to that, which was in the Viola cotton poplin from Hey So Sister, and I really love that dress, so that was a really nice make. And then I made a Bertha cardigan, my first one, which is actually here behind me, actually, in this kind of bright sort of magenta sort of colour. It goes quite well with the dress, actually, with the Davenport. And I made a pair of Agnes PJs, which was for the So Frugal challenge, I think it was. So I made those out of a vintage bedsheet from Marks and Spencer's. So in total for October I made another 10 garments. So yeah, that was, I think, sort of August, September and October were probably the 3 months where I made the most garments in total. So moving on to November now, first thing I made in November was another pair of Thea trousers. So I'd obviously made a previous pair and I wanted to kind of revisit the pattern, so I sized down on this pair, and I did actually achieve a much better fit with these. And in fact these trousers, I do love them and I wear them a fair amount. I've worn them quite a fair amount. and I would like to make some more actually. It's a really enjoyable make. So they were my first garment of November. And then I made another 2 LB pullovers, so another sort of simple pattern, and then the Drew sweater then came out. So I made 3 Drew sweaters in fairly quick succession, one after the other, which actually get quite a lot of wear. So 2 of them were made in a sweatshirting, and then one of them I made in kind of a French terry, and all 3 of them get worn on a fairly regular rotation. And then the last thing I made in November was a panini pleated shirt, which I made in a cotton sateen, and that was all of my garments for November. So in total there was a total of 7 garments in November. And then in December I actually only made one thing, and it is the skirt that you see behind you. So this is the slate skirt from Closet Core, which you can only get if you're part of the crew, if you're sort of joined for the crew membership. So I joined that subscription sort of middle of last year, and you get access to kind of like the back catalogue of patterns, and this was one of the sort of more recent patterns, and I really like the skirt. I would rather like to revisit it. I've got plans to make a denim one, and then maybe another one as well. But yeah, it's a really nice pattern. So I made that for my Christmas sort of night out with my work. But yeah, I did actually make an advent calendar as well in December, but I didn't include that in here because I didn't really think that sort of counted. But yeah, I did obviously did Vlogmas, but I didn't actually do that much sewing in December. So I think it was just kind of busy with a lot of other stuff, so I didn't manage to actually get that much sewing in. So yeah, that is everything really for the whole year. So 81 items in total. So I know I've kind of run through that fairly quickly, and it was partly because I didn't want this vlog to go on for hours, but hopefully you will have seen sort of all of the garments popping in the photos as I've been sort of running through them. And then just at the end I will just pop in the sort of 2 graphs that I've done, just so that you can see how I've kind of split it out. But basically what I've done is 2 separate graphs. So I've done a graph which shows all of the garments that I've made, and they're kind of split out into garment types. But just to kind of let you know a little bit of information, so the top 3 garments that I made in 2024. So the first item that came top was actually tops. So that was things like, you know, the Adrienne blouse, like the Donny shirt, I'm trying to see, Whitcomb top, Anthea blouse. So those kind of tops really. I didn't count, don't think I counted the Naya t-shirts. I'm just going to check what I counted those at. Oh yeah, so they were actually counted as t-shirts rather than tops. So in total I made 15 tops, then 14 t-shirts. So they did come in a close second, and actually 12 dresses. So I was actually really surprised by the dresses. I didn't realise I'd made quite as many dresses as that. Lowest number of items was cardigan. I just made one of those, and then I sort of made two jumpsuits and 2 pajamas, and then they kind of jump up a little bit from that. But yeah, the top 3 garments were those 15 tops, 14 t-shirts and 12 dresses. So that was quite surprising. And then my top 3 fabrics, I used jersey fabrics, came out 17. So I had 17 garments made out of jersey, and that was my top. That was sort of number 1, and I guess that was because I probably made quite a lot of like t-shirts, the Adrienne blouse, that kind of thing. They sort of came out as jerseys. And then the second favourite sort of thing that came out second was viscose. So I made 16 garments out of viscose, which is quite a lot. I feel like the start of this year I haven't used viscose quite as much actually as yet, so be interesting to see what my stats are like for 2025. And then the third favourite sort of fabric that I used was actually sweatshirting, and I think that was because I have made quite a few sweaters and sweatshirts this year. So yeah, sweatshirts came out third in the type of fabrics, and then probably the least, I'm just checking what the least amount, or the last kind of type of fabric it was. I think I made one thing with cotton poplin, one thing with Ponte, and then one thing with viscose poplin. So yeah, they were sort of, sorry, I was kind of leaning in to look at it on my laptop, but I will share those stats for you if you're interested in that. So I think that's sort of pretty much it for my my makes. I think my sort of favourite items that I made last year, definitely the first thing I made, which is this Davenport. That was one of my favourites, and actually that got a lot of love on Instagram at all. My birthday dress, which was the Anna by Hand London Anna dress, I really loved, and I loved kind of making like the Thea trousers, having a go at those. You know, that I made a few jackets. They were really good to do as well. So yeah, I mean, I loved everything really. It's not really anything I made that I wasn't that keen on, I don't think, off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything that I didn't like, which is pretty good. But yeah, and this year I kind of want to sort of increase or expand my skills a little bit more, I think. So and I definitely want to sew from my stash. So I know you know, I'm quite a prolific fabric buyer, as you're already aware, and I do really want to sew a lot more from my stash this year. So that's kind of like my plan, to dip into my stash a little bit more and start making some garments from that. So I might just quickly share with you what I am in the middle of just at the end of this vlog. But I'm currently actually making a Maya Sotis dress. I think I mentioned it in my vlog last week. So this is from this lovely like needle cord fabric. I don't know if you can see the needle cord. It's really super soft, and it's really nice and lightweight to work with. It's really nice to sew with. So I've got as far as making up the bodice. I just need to put buttons on that now, and then I then need to attach the skirt. So yeah, I'm hoping that I will get a good chunk of that done, sort of, if not this evening, tomorrow. But yeah, that's coming along quite nicely. So that's what I'm currently working on at the moment. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog and seeing everything I made in 2024. Let me know in the comments below which of the items are your favourites, if there's any kind of standout pieces for you. Yeah, it'll be really good to hear. Have you also had a look back on your sort of year of sewing, and sort of, you know, made a note of all of the things you've made? Did you find any surprises? Let me know in the comments below. It'd be really interesting to know if you have done the same process. To be honest, I've never done this before. So yeah, I found it really interesting seeing what I made, and I was quite surprised actually, some of the things, like the amount of kind of jersey sweatshirts and things like that, and t-shirts that I'd made. So yeah, it was a really good process, I thought. So I'm definitely want to have another go at doing that at the end of this year. So yeah, let me know if you've done that before yourself, and yeah, if it's made you sort of have a look and see if there's any kind of gaps in your wardrobe or things that you kind of want to focus on a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that, and I shall sign off here, and I shall catch up with you again next week. So I hope you have a good week and you get some good sewing in, and I shall catch up with you again soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.